What's up, BizBlend fam? This is your host Yusuf, and today we are talking about the sneakiest things that kills momentum in business. Not competition, not the algorithm, not even the economy. It's the stuff happening between your ears. The mind clutter, the what if I fail spiral, the anxiety that cosplays as being responsible. And if you have ever tried to build something while raising kids, rebuilding after a setback, or starting from absolute zero, you already know this isn't just mindset, it's survival with a strategy. Today's guest is Jeanne Omlor, a business coach whose success story wasn't a straight line. Jan built her business while being a present mom to her two daughters, navigating single parenthood and pushing through worry, anxiety, and limiting beliefs. A big unlock for her was learning how to tune out of the noise, neutralize fear, and move forward with confidence, even when her brain was serving worst case scenarios on repeat. I'm very excited to start this conversation. And with that, Jean, welcome to the BizBlend.
Hi, Yusuf. Nice to see you.
Jean, when did you first realize your biggest bottleneck wasn't the business plan? It was the mind.
Well, I was pretty aware of this from the very beginning because I've been a coach for 13 years. And at the very beginning, I knew that I needed strategy, but I also was very aware that I had a lot of fear and that I had to figure out how to just take action even though I had fear. And so what I realized was I had to not think about, oh, I'm so afraid and I can't do this. I just had to take action and drag the fear behind me. That was the action. Just don't think about it. Take action and drag it behind you. Because if you start analyzing it, then you become paralyzed. And that worked for me. Because when you do that, after you're taking action and you're getting results and things are happening, there's no reason to be afraid because you've taken action and there's stuff happening and you're getting clients. And I realized that the way that people overanalyze everything is the problem.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true. And was there was what was the very first change? First very tiny change you made that actually created a lot of traction for you.
The change was mindset wise
Mhm.
was I realized that when we self-doubt, we I asked myself, okay, when I self-doubt, how much time am I wasting? How long does it take me to self beat myself up and go around and around and doubt and have the thoughts and not sleep and I thought there's a number. There's always a number. And when you evaluate things through numbers, numbers don't lie. And I thought, okay, what is that number, Sean? Well, the number is, sometimes you get all sensitive and it's hard and it's maybe a week or two where you're not functioning properly. And during that week or two, how are you going to put food on the table for your daughters? So I thought, okay, what can I do? And do I always, the question is, do I always get back on track? Well, the answer is yes, because if you didn't get back on track, you would just give up. So I thought, okay, do I give up? No, I don't. Do I always, after all the self punishment and beating myself up and talking myself off a ledge, eventually, do I always get back on track? The answer was yes. I thought, aha. So this happens and I get back on track. So it's just a number of how long it takes me because it's not like I'm self doubting and I'm going to give up. Knowing that, I said to myself, why don't I just um, fast track that process of, you know, the beating myself up and self doubt. So, what I did was I devised a method where I would just pretend I was an old fashioned VHS tape and I'd go, boom, I'm done. And I managed to process all of that would have taken me a week or 2 weeks or doubting and hating myself or blah, blah, blah immediately. And I could just keep going. Now, that was a game changer because then I realized there is no reason to self doubt. It is just a cycle, and you must understand when you actually ask yourself questions, it's mathematical. How long does it take me to beat myself up, get through the cycle, start feeling better, and get back on track? Well, it was 1 or 2 weeks. I don't have 2 weeks. So I'm going to do this in 5 seconds. That's a game changer.
That indeed is because earlier you were taking a week or two to heal from it, and now it just takes 5 seconds. You know, the most important thing about transformation, especially if we're talking about mindset, people think that you have to go on big journeys, you have to find yourself, a complete all turnaround of the life. But it is as simple as clocking yourself, making a design or a system that helps you get out of that bad space.
Yes, it's a decision. Our lives are a long series of decisions and agreements with ourselves. Okay, so the agreement with myself was I'm going to go through this like I'm helpless because I wasn't taking responsibility for my actions or my thoughts. But when I took control, and it wasn't about ignoring it, it was about still processing it. So my brain, it's kind of like NLP, my brain was still processing it, but I was saying to my brain, I'm agreeing now to process it in 5 seconds rather than all of that pain. We agree to put ourselves through pain. It's an agreement. I mean, when, other people do things to us, that's different. But this is self-imposed, the talking ourselves off a ledge, and we're agreeing because somewhere we are pushing the can down the road. We are saying, I'm going to do this because then I have excuses to not do the work and procrastinate because I'm scared to death. It's all about fear. And people create obstacles because then it creates a smoke screen where then they don't have to take action because then they're buying themselves another 2 weeks to just sit around and not do the work. So it's all about being radically responsible and honest with yourself and asking the really hard questions. Why am I doing this? Oh, I'm kind of doing it because this is scary. I'm afraid I'm going to fail. So why don't I just wallow in the pushing the can down the road of talking myself off a ledge? And everybody does this. And we need to agree, I want to create certain things. What do I need to do? I will do them no matter what. It's hard to live that way, but you have to be very stoical and you have to be very disciplined.
Yeah, that is true. Talking about anxiety, anxiety is wild because it sounds like logic, but it's really fear in a blazer. How did you learn to neutralize anxiety without ignoring the real risk?
Oh, goodness, this has been a big journey because some people are more anxious than others. That's just the makeup. I'm naturally a very anxious person. And then, things that happened in my life didn't help because it made me more anxious. It's just a journey. Every single day I get up in the morning and I do a mindset, like instant shift technique to think about everything and what's that thought that's niggling, and I bring it and I breathe into it and then I do a clearing. Because if we don't recognize the icky thoughts in our brains every day, neutralize them, we can't really function at 100% because somewhere in our mind, it's just clutter. So you really have to be really honest and say, okay, what's that thought? Oh, that does bother me. Okay, I'm going to breathe into it. And then I do a clearing, and it really does neutralize. It doesn't get rid, it neutralizes the emotion. So I can have a day where I'm not just, those back thoughts that ruin your day of niggling thoughts. We've got to clear those in the morning to get ourselves to operate at our highest level that day.
Hmm. And what's your personal decision filter? Like, how do you know when it's intuition or anxiety?
Okay, that is a very, very smart question. Do you know why?
Yes.
A PhD in, what was it? I think she was a PhD in intuition, actually, yes. And I said, you do realize that a lot of people, they actually confuse fear with intuition. And she said, you're absolutely right. She goes, I even wrote a paper on that. Okay. So it's actually very hard for human beings. They say, oh, my intuition's telling me this, but actually, it's not. Their fear is disguised as intuition. So it's really confusing. And you really have to try to work out for yourself when they actually think it's their intuition. Okay, it's not. It's fear is saying, no, don't do this. And they go, oh, my intuition's telling me this. And I'm thinking, no, it's not. She said that is very correct. And it's very, very hard. And she had a paper about it, about how to try to figure out whether it's fear or intuition. So very good question you have there. And it's not easy sometimes, because sometimes our gut feeling is not a gut feeling of intuition. Yes, I've got to do this or not. It's fear. Or sometimes our gut feeling of, I should do this, it's just incorrect. Because sometimes,
Mhm.
everybody's done that, right? My gut was telling me, but somehow human beings were so
Mm.
disconnected from our gut sometimes that our gut's lying to us now.
Yeah, we have stopped listening to ourselves, our instincts, what I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some people are better than others and it takes training. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, wow, I thought that was the right decision. My gut was telling me, and actually, it was a horrible decision. Something's wrong with the way we're reading our gut or our intuition. We got to maybe retrain ourselves or get really, really analytical. I don't know, but I'm surprised sometimes when I was like, yeah, but usually when your gut is telling you that something's off, that's usually right. If it's off. But if your gut's saying, oh no, don't do this, I'm afraid, usually it's just fear.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you for that distinction. And talking about business and the struggle, you build success while being a present mother as well, which is a lot of respect. But what are the systems or boundaries were there that made that possible without burning you out?
Well, that was the first thing. First of all, I refused to burn out, and I know I always took a break on Sundays. Okay, so I worked a lot during the week, but Saturdays was errands and a little bit of work. Sundays, pretty much, I just thought I need to take a day off just to rest. So no, and I would do some work. I would do some, but the boundary was okay. I'm not just going to treat Sunday like a work day. It's a day of rest. And so, I take the kids, we go to church, come back, we have a fun day or, do something. And I do a little bit of work. So that was the thing. I needed to restore myself and regenerate. So I always did that. And I needed that because I knew I would burn out. I was very aware that I could not get sick and I was not allowed to burn out because our livelihood depended upon it. Okay. And I knew that I just couldn't do that. So that was the first thing, is I refused to burn out. I worked really hard, but I refused to burn out. And I don't believe in burnout for myself. I think if you don't believe in something, it won't happen, because psychologically your subconscious, makes you slow down or do something like
Mm.
that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that was the first thing. I wasn't going to burn out. I couldn't. I had to take care of myself. The second thing was I was not going to neglect my children. I was going to be there. I was going to take them to all their lessons. And that was non negotiable. And also, I cooked dinner for my kids every single night. Okay. Except here and there, we'd go, maybe go to some, restaurant or something. So it was, we always ate dinner together. I always cooked for them. And, um, you know, s- went to everything. So it was not an option to neglect my kids. Yeah.
No. I like how you build an infrastructure, a proper infrastructure to avoid your burnout mentally and also the days you were there. And you know, it really takes a lot to be running a business, to be a mother, and then you said I was there to cook every dinner of most of the dinner for my children, and that is really very commendable.
Well, it's important to eat dinner together. It's important to have some structure. And also, we went to church every Sunday. So that was structured, right? Every Sunday we went to church no matter what. Then we had some fun time. So it's not one day running into, and I needed a rest. I knew that I could not sustain everything just with no break. So
Yeah.
that's how I did it.
You talk about channeling grace and rising above the noise. In practical terms, what does grace look like?
Grace is is giving yourself grace, giving yourself a break. And I spoke about that before with not beating yourself up or having to
Mhm.
talk yourself off a ledge. We need to practice self love and acceptance. We need to say, I'm just a person and nobody's perfect and I'm going to do my best. And once I've done my best, that's all I can do. If it's my best, then why would I denigrate myself when I've already done my best? Whatever the best is at the time. And I think what people do is they're doing their best and then they're beating themselves up about it. You only can do your best. And um, I think there's just a point where you got to give yourself a break and say, look, I'm human, I'm tired. So today I'm going to, go take a nap because I really need that nap. Or,
Yeah.
you know, I, I need to, and I'm not saying not to work and take a vacation when you're not on vacation. I think some people give themselves too many breaks. Okay. And that's
Yeah.
just soft and it's not gritty. So I just mean have some grace towards yourselves and others. Also, other people aren't perfect. So when you're stressed and anxious, it's just hard to be a good human being to other people as well. So, um, super stressed out people, they take it out on other people. So if you're graceful with yourself and give people the grace of the benefit of the doubt, if they deserve it, you know, that goes a long way.
That is true. Let's assume that our listeners want to start a practice that can help them rise above the noise uh, in their life. Can you tell us a very small practice that they can, inculcate in their habit or daily life to
Yes.
start with it?
We need to get really clear about what we actually want. So I would get a piece of paper and I'd make two columns and I say what I really want and what I don't want. Okay. And then you start figuring out, am I doing this because it's pleasing everybody else? Do I really want this? What do I want? And the more you get clear on what you really want, then you have a goal, you have a pathway, a vision. You can say, okay, now I know what I really want. How do I get it? But first figure out what you want. And then who can help me get it? Super important. The who is very important. Figure out first what you want. A lot of people don't know what they want. They just don't. They're confused. They're blocked. They don't know what they want. They're just going along with the job they really don't like and then the fear comes in. Well, I better keep this job and I know a lot of people have no choice and they have to have the job they have to have, in certain countries and
Yeah.
even in America. But at least you can figure out something you want. It might not be, okay, I might have to have this job, but do I want to get in shape? Well, yeah, okay, what do I do then? I start walking. I start taking action towards I really, really want to get in shape and I want to look good in my clothes. Well, you have power over that. But what people do is they lump all of this in, oh, well, I don't like my job. Therefore, I'm not going to take care of my health. And therefore, blah, blah, blah. Therefore, I'm in a bad mood. It's just one big mess. We need to start working out what is one thing we want that we can actually be empowered to go after and achieve. And then what's the next one? And then the more you do this, your life becomes more empowered.
Yes, that is true. And Jan, is there any way that our listeners can connect with you?
Sure, they can always find me on LinkedIn. It's Jeanne. Last name is Omlor. And of course, there's my website, myname.com, jeanneomlor.com, JeanneOmlor.com.
Okay. We'll be sure to put those in our description.
Mm.
And is there any last message that you want to leave us with?
Yes. Time is very finite and people waste a lot of time. So, my question to people is if not now, when? If you want to lose weight, if not now, when? If you want to start a business, if not now, when? If you want to get something in order, if not now, when? You can't just keep pushing things off because time is finite and we're all one step closer to the end of our lives every day.
Wow. John, this was powerful and super practical. Thank you for keeping it real and giving people tools they can actually execute.
You're so welcome.
Mhm. And BizBlend crew, if you got value today, share this with a founder friend who's building while battling their own brain. drop a review, hit subscribe, and remember the next level isn't locked behind more hustle, it's locked behind more clarity. Catch you in the next one.